Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the main stage at the Singapore Week of Innovation and Technology. It is the final day, TGIF. Thank you for joining us, and this is the grand finals of SLINGSHOT 2025, Asia's most exciting deep tech startup competition. My name is Yasmin, and I am honored to be the host. Now, before we begin, if you're going to be taking any pictures, don't forget to tag us, okay? And also hashtag SLINGSHOT 2025. Okay. First of all, we want to say a big thank you to our wonderful sponsors and partners for being part of our SLINGSHOT journey. We cannot do it without you. They have very generously donated their time and advice, from conducting masterclasses to being part of panel discussions to, of course, providing the fantastic prizes for our winners and joining us as judges and mentors. Now, this year, we have more than 200 international judges and mentors, along with 20 corporate and competition partners. So from thousands of applications, it was down to our top 60 global startups. They've been giving their pitches their best over the last 2 days in 4 domain finals. Yesterday evening, we revealed the top 3 of each of the domain, and today, the best of the best. They're waiting in the wings, and they're going to be battling it out in front of our amazing judges. And that's going to happen in just a few minutes. But first, of course, I got to tell you the prizes. This year is Switch's 10th anniversary, so we've upped the stakes. This year, we have more than 2 million Singapore dollars worth in grant and cash prizes, startup resources, mentor opportunities, as well as corporate deals to be won. Now, the 12 domain winners that you're seeing just in a bit, they're already winners. They've each won for themselves a $60,000 Startup SG grant, and also a 4-week intangible asset identification sprint from IPOS International, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Intellectual Property Office of Singapore. Now, the top 3 from the 12 will have this 4-week sprint extended into an 8-week intangible asset audit and strategy sprint from IPOS International. And on top of their $60,000 Startup SG grant, the second runner-up will win an additional $200,000 Startup SG grant and 6 months rent-free space at JTC Launchpad. Now, the first runner-up wins an additional $300,000 Startup SG grant and 12 months rent-free space at JTC Launchpad. And by this evening, we will find out who will be the grand winner. And that person will walk away with an additional $400,000 Startup SG grant and 18-month rent-free space at JTC Launchpad. Now, if you're not familiar with JTC Launchpad, it was launched by JTC at One North as a global startup hub to attract cutting-edge innovation. Since 2015, it has nurtured over 2,400 tech startups, including 3 unicorns. And today, it supports a vibrant community of more than 700 startups from over 15 sectors. Now, Launchpad's startups collaborate with corporates and academic institutions to develop innovative solutions while benefiting from mentorship and guidance provided by over 30 incubators, accelerators, and venture capitalists. For the first time, JTC will also offer fast-track space applications to Launchpad for the top 60 SLINGSHOT finalists. So all of them have this fast track. In fact, you know what? I've got a video to share with you. Let's take a look. If you are a startup, JTC Launchpad, that is where you want to be. All right, let's get started. But before that, let me introduce to you our amazing judges who are sitting right there. Please welcome Mr. Magnus Grimlund, founder and CEO of Antler. Good afternoon. We've got Mr. Jixun Fu, Senior Managing Partner of Granite Asia. A very warm welcome. With us, Ms. Cindy Khoo, Managing Director of Enterprise Singapore. We've got Mr. Russell Tam, Head of Emerging Technologies of Temasek International. And with us, we've got Mr. Rajesh Swaminathan, partner of Khosla Ventures. A very warm welcome, judges. It's going to be hard. 12 amazing pitches. The rules of engagement. Early on in the last 2 days, they have been given 3 minutes, but today we're going to extend it so they can go deep dive and give you more information. 5 minutes to pitch. Once the timer is up, I will unfortunately have to come on to cut them off, but we do have a 5-minute Q&A with the judges after that. Ladies and gentlemen, this is nerve-wracking for all the startups. Can we give them a big round of applause? They're hiding the wings to encourage them. Top 12, your winners already. Give it your best. You can do it. All right, well, let's get right into the pitching. I can feel the adrenaline already. Please welcome on stage, Aruna Revolution, Rashmi Prakesh. Hi, Rashmi.
Hi.
I'm feeling the good energy.
I'm excited to be here.
We are excited to have you here as well. You have 5 minutes on the clock. Are you ready?
Ready to go.
Your timer starts now.
As a biomedical engineer, I was horrified to find out that the products that we're using for our health are killing us and the planet. There are 600 billion healthcare products that are thrown away every year. We use them for a few hours, but they sit in the landfills for over 500 years, and they also pollute our body with carcinogens. Even cotton as a material has been proven to have these toxins, and so the problem really is with the materials, and that's why we decided that it was time for a revolution. Aruna is a fiber tech platform that's compostable, toxin-free, and high performance, made entirely out of agricultural waste. We use our proprietary process and turn crop residuals, so stems and leaves after harvest, into soft and clean fibers. What this does is it supports farmers, reduces emissions, and prevents waste from ending up in landfills. What's unique about our process is we can use virtually any kind of feedstock, so corn, canola, soy, hemp, and turn it into these clean and soft fibers, and also keep agriculture healthy. Materials like cotton, hemp, bamboo, they depend on monoculture, and what this does is it degrades soil. Whereas with us, we can work with farmers to use whatever material they're growing and turn it into our fibers. And it's not just enough to have sustainable products. We need to make sure that it's functional. So unlike cotton, bamboo, our fibers are 300% more absorbent and truly compostable compared to materials that are biodegradable. There's a difference between biodegradable and compostable in the sense that biodegradable just means that it can be broken down by a microorganism without the guarantee of an environmentally friendly output, so it can break down into microplastics or take decades to break down, whereas compostable means that it has to break down into useful compost within a specific amount of time, so usually 90 days. And we've worked with compost manufacturers to verify this. There's also limitless applications, and because of our proprietary process, the manufacturing costs of these fibers are the lowest. And we have the ability to revolutionize entire verticals with our fibers, so much so that Kimberly-Clark and L'Oreal have already reached out to us. And this is because there's pressure from the government and consumers. What they want to see is a ban on plastic and harmful materials. And so because of this, the $220 billion market is ripe for disruption, and we're on our way to capturing it. What we're doing is we've launched into the market with menstrual products, and so these menstrual pads are a way for us to prove the value of our fibers, so powered by Aruna fibers. And in the background, we've already begun the discussions for licensing, and what this is going to allow us to do is something like Intel Inside. So we're going to be Aruna, the trusted technology for clean health in the future. We have a very highly talented and ambitious team that has already proven demand by generating 750,000 ARR within the first 6 months of our launch, and sold our pads into hospitals, airports, universities, and we have interest from over 9 verticals, including Kimberly-Clark for Huggies. We've also, without a single cent spent on marketing, sold into Canada, Singapore, US, Monaco. Actually, 12% of our sales came from Singapore, which was surprising, and one of the reasons that we're here today. And our technology is third-party verified and certified, and we've protected our IP internationally. We also have advisors that have a cumulative of over 100 years of experience in this industry and are retired directors from Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson. So while we generated 750 this year, we could have done more if we had more of an ambitious inventory plan. But this demand shows us that we can scale globally through licensing and category exploration, and we'll really situate ourselves for a great exit. And with this economic growth, we'll also have a great impact and create healthier people and a planet. So right now we're raising 2.5 million to secure licensing opportunities, bring on the key hires, and ensure that we have targeted marketing to have proper growth into the markets that we're targeting. Aruna is a promise for health, for you, for your families, for your children, and the planet. Thank you for your time. I hope you join our revolution.
Thank you, Rashmi. Good job. Okay,
Thank
now
you.
we have 5 minutes with the judges.
Yeah.
The clock is ticking. Judges, any questions? I think we're going to question from Magnus of Antler, please.
Big congrats on the development, very exciting.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about the unit economics, how it compares to the other fibers people are buying today? Like what's the cost differential and a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the lowest cost fiber on the market, not including plastic, is wood pulp right now. And our fiber at scale will be lower than that in terms of manufacturing costs. And the reason for this is because there's a lot of operations associated with wood pulp where it's, you have to get the land, you have to cut the trees down, you have to bring them in, and even the processing requires higher concentration of chemicals and high temperatures, whereas our process, the farmers are already collecting this material, and right now they're burning it, so instead of them burning it, we're taking it off their hands, so the material acquisition cost is lower, but then even our processing, we use a combination of mechanical and chemical processing, and that mechanical processing reduces the concentrations of chemicals we need, but also, our temperatures are lower, and so ultimately, as a result of this, our cost at scale will be lower than wood pulp.
We've got about 3 minutes 45 left. I think a question from Zishan from Grand Knight Asia.
Thank you so much. My following question to what Magnus have asked is just the processing part of it to process the tech. Where are you in terms of process, in terms of towards the commercialization, the steady state of the output that you give to the end user. So perhaps you can comment a little bit of that.
Yeah, and just to make sure I understand your question, it's about the quality of the output, that it's steady, right? So for us, what we've done is the process that we've developed, we've picked a specific type of material, and agricultural residuals, for a reason. Agricultural residuals have a specific range in terms of the cellulosic content. We can use our process for anything like banana peels or whatever, but the cellulosic content is lower. So we've picked a specific input so that through our process we will get the cellulosic output. And regardless of what we put in, because of our process and our pre-processing, which we have IP over, we're able to get consistent cellulose regardless of what our input is. And it functions the same. We've done quality assurance on it, and we have a QMS system set up to make sure that the materials that we're getting will always be consistent.
We've got about 2 minutes 20 left on the clock. Do we have another question? I think Cindy from Enterprise Singapore has a question.
Can you tell me a little bit more about your business model? Because there are 3 elements. There's a menstrual pad, and then there's a licensing, and then you also have carbon credit. So which one will be your emphasis, and actually how do you expect them to grow in weightage over time?
Yeah, so initially I would say that the menstrual pads are going to be the higher, and the reason for that is that we're launching into the market with the pads to demonstrate the value of them so that people know the brand Aruna Fibers. But in the next couple of years, so within 2-3 years, we're going to move into licensing, and that's going to become the bulk of our business. And the reason for this is it takes about 1 to 2 years to get a licensing contract. You have to go through R&D, make sure there's product market fit and everything. And so we're proving out this value, so we build up brand equity, and then we're going to move and focus on the licensing side of this and build into the different verticals.
We've got about 1.5 minutes left. I think Rajesh has a question from Khosla Ventures.
There are a lot of fiber-based companies, Infinited Fibers, Sati Pads.
Yeah.
How do you distinctly stand out in the long run, and why not sell the product yourself? Why license and limit your exit opportunity, how much you can influence the market?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's certainly an opportunity to sell the product ourselves. But I think one thing that really allows us to differentiate ourselves with the fibers is the functionality of them. And if products like Satipad in India or Blood here in Singapore, if we're able to work with them and they already have a part of the market acquired, we can get our fibers into them and they can put powered by Aruna fibers and we can collaborate getting into the market with them. So that reduces our marketing spend, but we're still able to have the impact and sell in and capture all these markets.
We only have 30 seconds left, time for a quick one. Yes, we got Russell from Temasek International. Really, really quick one. So.
You said your product is 3 times better than the other methods or the current incumbent. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so it's 3 times more absorbent. So what this means is that our cellulose fiber, we've compared it to the current golden standard, which is wood pulp, and it's wood pulp in conjunction with SAP. So those are the products that are on the market right now. When we replace that with a core that's made completely out of our fibers, that is 3 times more absorbent. And so what this means, and we focused on the functionality of the product quite significantly, is that there's more blood getting absorbed, so people that can use a smaller pad, but also there's better thermal regulation that we can use that makes it better too.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you very much. Judges, thank you once again for Aruna Revolution. Rashmi Prakash, thank you. That's the first of 12 startups. Next up, please welcome on stage for Brillion, Dr. Alok Mehta. Hello, Dr. Mehta.
How you doing?
Feeling good?
Feeling great.
Okay, Dr. Mehta, now you've got 5 minutes. We're going to reset the timer.
All right.
And your time starts now.
All right. Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing today? So we're Brillion. We're a company that developed an entirely new category of display technology and really pioneering what we refer to as frictionless immersive displays, or as we like to think internally, practical immersion. So the visual display market that we're targeting is a $43 billion market, and we're really focused on enterprise use cases where multi-monitors are inherently complex and messy, mobile platforms which are inherently space and resource restrictive, and limited vision is kind of akin to that operational environment. And third, we focus on immersive solutions where headsets have a lot of promise, $30 billion have been invested in them, but they're fundamentally uncomfortable and isolating. So we've developed a platform called Ultra Reality Displays, which is really like looking through a window. When you look into our display, you get access to an IMAX scale display, all in the form factor of a display that fits on your desk. So Ultra Reality, what are we really bringing to the table here? No headsets required, no projectors, and very importantly, better eye health. This is supported by 2 key core inventions that we've brought to the table. The first is what we refer to as depth modulation. We're the pioneers of using something called cavity optics to provide 2.5 meters of true optical depth. This is very important because unlike classical approaches that use blue light filtering technologies to reduce that fatigue and strain, we actually minimize the activation of your ciliary muscles in your eyes, so it's very comfortable to look at our displays just like looking at a sunset. The second key technology is what we refer to as light field expansion, or simply put, shaping those pixel distributions in virtual space in 3 dimensions to maximize for uncomfort. So if you've ever used headsets before, in our scenario, there's no accommodation vergence mismatch and no fatigue and basically no headaches or nausea. So the result is a display is no longer a picture frame that you look at, but it's now a window that you look through. And we're really the first display solution to optimize for your eye health. Our technology is supported by something that we refer to as 7 layers of moat. We have 60 patents filed, 30 have been granted, and our coverage spans all the way from the design process, all the way through manufacturing, and to ultimately integration into pre-existing systems. So how does it work at a high level? Our partners at NVIDIA, they help us compute the image. Our investors and partners at LG, they turn those images into photons, and we take those commercially available panels and wrap an optical system around it. So we can process those photons and basically bring new capabilities and value to these display solutions. We have 3 tracks at Brillion to really capture and harness this $43 billion market. The first is with our standalone products, which we sell directly or through distributors and resellers around the world, and this is really to address immersion where headsets fail. The second is integration solutions or immersions in tight spaces, where the business model is really licensing to a lot of these car brands that you guys are all familiar with. And the third is a software ecosystem that we've developed that allows us to provide immersion where you don't necessarily need our hardware, but now you can get unique functionality just through the software layer. So we like to say we're defense tested and commercially available. And this is a snapshot of all of our early adopters that we're currently generating revenue from that are really hungry and yearning for a new capacity from screens. The display industry is somewhat stagnant. They want to give you bigger screens and more pixels, but we realized early on there's a new degree of freedom by actually bringing this monocular depth to the platform and giving more comfort and more functionality with less allocation of resources. Our Series A was led by Lockheed Martin and supported and followed by LG and Corning, so we're very uniquely positioned to really scale our operations and really take this product to market at large scale. We are post-revenue, so we've generated $4 million to date, and we're basically getting our revenue equally partitioned between defense, automotive, and enterprise. So this is just a snapshot of our current $100 million pipeline that we're executing on, where we're currently in contracting and negotiation to basically scale the proliferation of our tech with our early adopters. And in the case of automotive, we're finalizing licensing agreements to bring our technology into those vehicle domains. From a growth plan perspective, we're now positioned this year to break even, and with our influx from capital with our current Series B round, we're going to be able to basically increase our burn rate by 3x and increase our 5x to further increase kind of our market traction as well as our revenue generation. This is supported by our worldwide operations. Our headquarters is in Silicon Valley in San Mateo, and 3 years ago we started a factory in China. Stellar team, thank you all for your attention.
That's all the time we have.
Yep.
Good job. All right, Dr. Mehta, we've got 5 minutes with the judges. Judges would like to go first. We have a question from Matician of Granite Asia, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask, can you elaborate more on the automotive application? What use case and how would the use case look like?
Sure. So in the automotive world, we're working in two parts of the vehicle, in the front part of the vehicle and the rear part of the vehicle. And the front part of the vehicle is very resource competitive. So what we're doing is we've come with a single display architecture that can replace both the functionality of digital instrumentation clusters as well as heads-up displays. So less power consumption, less volumetric allocation, and more functionality. In the rear seat, we have smaller variants of our display that actually fit in the headrest of the vehicle. So when you're in the rear seat now, you get access to a 40-inch display, all with the power consumption of only 7 watts. So again, the whole thesis is doing more with less.
Do we have another question for Dr. Mehta? I think Rajesh of Costler Ventures, please.
Can you do you have a product roadmap to go to multi-viewer experience?
Yes,
How do you
absolutely.
get there?
Absolutely. So last year at CES, we just unveiled our capacity, not just to give you one large VR-like experience, but also bring in secondary and tertiary depth layers to provide more augmented reality capacity. So in the example of the heads-up display, for instance, we can put GPS information close to the road, ADAS information at an intermediary plane, but still have that digital instrumentation at that classical 30 to 70 centimeter kind of distance.
Sorry, by multi-viewer, I meant can more than one person use the same display?
Yes, and that's where this depth modulation comes into play, where we can actually increase the viewable zone, again, without any of the complexity of tracking technology, and we don't dice resolution as a function of wavelength. So everybody gets the same high fidelity, high resolution experience, and again, without that additional complexity.
I think we have a question from Magnus of Antler.
Congrats on the progress. You were getting to your team. Can you talk a little bit about why you guys are the right people to win in this marketplace?
Absolutely. So our team is really stellar in the fact that we're all very much subject matter experts in the optics domain, the computer vision domain, as well as from the immersive experience domain. So my co-founder comes from the MIT ecosystem, I come from the defense industry, and the gentleman who leads our business initiatives was actually the co-founder of IMAX Labs. So as an aggregate, we have different market access, different connective tissue, but also very akin to having business models that resonate with current operations.
We've got about 2 minutes left. Russell from Temasek International.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that it's fundamentally a light field display. Could you talk a bit about how the algorithms are working in generating this kind
Sure.
of look through the window feeling?
Exactly. So we're the pioneer of using cavity optics to do this depth modulation. So qualitative cavity optics would be as if I put you in an elevator with mirrors on both sides. You see perfect duplications of yourselves at different optical depths. And simply put, our core technology says what depth do you want, i.e. I select one of you and filter out the rest. So if you do that very, very fast through a time sequencing process, now you can get multiple virtual displays at different optical depths without sacrificing any image fidelity. So no optical aberrations, just high pristine, high fidelity virtual depth planes.
Got about a minute and a half left. Cindy of Enterprise Singapore, please.
Can I ask about the cost of your technologies with the different products that you have lined up? Actually, how do you bring your costs down?
Great question. So we started this factory in Taiwan about 3 years ago so we could really control our product development. So right now our products are in the marketplace for our standalone products costing about $12,000 MSRP. So it's really fixated on solving key operational problems. So our goal in the early days was really to have lower volume but higher margin kind of offerings. And right now, with this influx of capital from our Series B, we actually have a very efficient factor of 2 in terms of our cost of goods sold. And now we are actually going back into the market with sufficiently lower priced products. Automotive is slightly different, but again, we work with premium brands where it's really all about, again, lower volume, higher margin, unique experiences that nobody else can offer.
We've got about just 30 seconds left. Only time for a quick question. Do you have a really quick one? Magnus Mantler, yes.
You have $4 million of revenue now. Can you break down what you're selling and to who?
Yeah, so our standalone products that we're selling directly or through distributors is about 1/3 of our revenue. So these are our standalone products that are being used for multi-monitor replacements or immersive experiences. The automotive licensing sector is really slightly different. So this is really with premium brands that we all know. And our vision isn't to really have to generate automotive graded solutions. So we have now that capacity. We have a tier 1 manufacturer joining our Series B round. So they'll be able to actually provide those solutions to us. So direct sales and licensing are our 2 primary business models.
That's all the time we have. Thank you, judges. Once again, Dr. Mehta of
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, next up to present, please welcome Stephen Kynes of Goldilocks. Hello, Stephen.
Hello.
Preston.
Yeah,
All right, 5 minutes.
Feeling
Let's
good.
go there.
Thank
You
you,
got
Ja-
this.
thank you,
Time
Ja-
starts now.
thank you, Jasmine. Hi, my name's Stephen Kynes, and I'm the co-founder of Goldilocks. In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you how we can all take back control in a connected world. Global cyber attacks are on the rise. 600 million attacks per day. And with AI, this is just going to make things worse. MINDEF has said that attackers are not just stealing our personal data, they're attacking the operation of our power plants, water, hospitals, all forms of transport. And UK's NCSC says lives are literally at stake. Remember this July's UNC 3886? The attacks are already here, happening in Singapore. And they constantly attack because we're constantly connected. Everything is on and vulnerable. But the best response is to pull the plug physically, go analog. But it's just not really feasible for thousands of people to be running around all the time pulling plugs everywhere. Now with Goldilocks, we found a way. We help you physically pull the plug from anywhere, remotely, securely, and precisely, while bypassing the internet. Here's how. We do 3 big things. Our non-internet triggers will instantly, physically break the data flow, like a circuit breaker. And if it needs to be connected, we monitor for those anomalies, and then we break it precisely. So the rest of the power plant or the water plant continues to function with minimal downtime. Instead of keeping things constantly connected, we put all the devices in a default disconnect state. And we connect only when needed, something that is required under Singapore law. This reduces the cyber attack surface area immediately by 97%. In fact, we are so unique with our 8 issued patents that NATO has spent 2 years validating us, and we're a sole source product for all 32 NATO countries. And it's built rugged and resilient, which is why we have rapidly achieved the success with 4.5 million in revenue this year alone. And we have over 100 million in contract value in the pipeline, which we will rapidly cascade via our 160 worldwide channel partner network. And the way we make our money, super scalable, because we sell at the unit level. Each plant, each project acquires $2 million in average value from us. And we are ready to roll it out as we currently have a 30,000 unit production capacity in our 2 factories. That's $1 billion worth of product. In Singapore, we've set up our regional headquarters. We've hired 4 key people, and I'm proud to announce we will produce our next generation technology right here in Singapore. With the backing of CSA, look out for a special announcement on November 14th. And they in turn are backed by a 35-strong global team. Top engineers, cyber professionals, sales team, senior experienced leadership. Our innovation does not stop there. With the next generation of technology being built here in Singapore, we move to a licensing model to embed Goldilocks in every device, every car, every home. Goldilocks becomes the platform in the hardware cybersecurity world. We are seeking $10 million, of which we have already secured $5 million. And we will use it to scale revenues to $98 million within 2 years, in part through expansion in the APAC region. As we digitize for sustainability and AI progress in clean tech, health tech, and advanced manufacturing, all these amazing 60 companies that are here as part of the SLINGSHOT 60, all of those, Goldilocks Firebreak will keep us safe. So, if you'd like to securely take back control remotely and physically, invest in us now. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephen. All right, we have 5 minutes with the judges. Judges, who would like to go first with the first question? I think we have one from Zishan of Granite Asia, please.
Hi. Can you comment a little bit about how your technology, why is it so difficult to do what you're doing?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
And there are so many cybersecurity solutions out there. How your solution is complementary or an alternative to what's available?
Yes, thank you. So we're a hardware cybersecurity solution, but inside there's a lot of software inside the hood. I'm a lawyer, hence the lawyer uniform, and an intellectual property lawyer. We have 8 issued patents, 12 more currently on the process. But of course, we don't only rely on that. We continue to innovate. So the secret sauce of Goldilocks is the ability to physically remotely disconnect without using the internet. So it is those non-internet triggers that are the secret. It's been built over 7 years. So one thing that you can have some level of comfort is that NATO spent 2 years validating that and ensuring that that is why they are able to procure it without going through a public procurement process because of its uniqueness. And we continue to innovate that with our API so that we allow for integration with other technologies. That way it becomes a ubiquitous platform for facilitating a first and last line of defense. That's what's different. Everyone else is fighting a code war, but at the end of the day, the attackers can always get through that. We take it down to the physical level. And in critical national infrastructure, that's extremely important because we work with legacy architecture. Most of the cybersecurity products that you refer to are not fit for purpose in an OT world. And when you're deploying in critical infrastructure, it's really important to have that validation and to be resilient.
We've got about 3 minutes left. I think we have a question from Russell of Temasek International, please.
So how difficult is it to implement this read switch into existing infrastructures? Because I presume it's some kind of magnetic relay.
Yeah, that's so we actually built the device, our mantra is keep cyber simple. So our CTO's grandmother installed one in 7 minutes. That's how simple it is. As a Canadian, we like to say we work well with others. So it actually works with the existing technology. It's a plug and play device. So we've had this experience where one of the largest water utilities in the UK deployed a 73 unit throughout their network. It took them 2 weeks to install and with their existing technology.
We've got about 2 minutes left to do a question from Magnus of Antler.
Yes. Hi, Magnus.
Big congrats on this. Can you talk a little bit about your revenue model? Like how do you charge the customer, and how does the revenue model work?
Yes. So we charge for per unit, so 25 to 35,000. So we have also fiber and Ethernet versions and APIs. So 4 fully commercialized products that are currently on the market, and then we charge on top of that an annual service fee and warranty. So there's an ARR model built on top of that. Hence, as I mentioned, that it's about a 2 million on average contract for a water or power plant. And then that changes depending on if you're building for hyperscalers. And then we move into slowly into the licensing model as we move to the device level. So we'll be working with OEMs to build that directly in every industrial control system, every drone, every car, everything. So that the core aspect of being able to physically disconnect will be there.
About a minute left. Judges, do we have another question? For Stephen, we've got one from Rajesh of Costa Ventures.
Hi, Rajesh.
What kind of reliability do you see between repeated connection disconnection cycles?
I'm sorry?
What kind of reliability do you see between repeated connection and disconnection cycles?
Yeah, so we've built it so that it is resilient and has been tested to that tens of millions of connections. What we try and do is move people towards a default disconnect, but it works on a physical network segmentation process. So you control it depending on what needs to be always on, and this is really important. One of the greatest levels of attacks are from third parties. Third parties accessing the networks. So we developed a form that has it at time basis, or the APIs can automate that process if they detect an anomaly. So those number of connections depends on which segment, but you're physically segmenting the network and controlling it differently.
That's all the time we have. Thank you, judges.
Yeah, thank you.
Once again, Stephen.
Thank you very much.
Of Goldilocks. Next up, please welcome on stage for InnoWave Tech, it's Mike Fung. Hi, Mike.
Hi.
All right. Mike,
Hi.
are you ready?
As ready as I can be.
5 minutes starts now.
Right.
Good luck.
Good afternoon, esteemed judges, audience. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Mike, co-founder and head of solutions for InnoWave Tech, a Singapore-based manufacturing AI company specializing in agentic and vision AI to enable autonomous machines, primarily for the semiconductor industry. Founded the company in 2019 together with founder and CEO Xu Jingsong, a quarter-century veteran in the industry, and guided by a team of global industry leaders. We are now 60 professionals strong, made up of a global team of serial entrepreneurs, industry veterans, and experienced researchers. We are IMD accredited, as well as a Siemens and McKinsey technology partner. So what we are doing is to bridge the gaps between automation and full autonomy using agentic AI. Automation has its limits in that every single step has to be standardized, repetitive, and modular in order for them to be automatable. The challenges faced by advanced manufacturing today is that a lot of processes are highly dynamic, complex, and require human decision making. And the only way we can automate these processes is using our AI agents with their 2 core capabilities. Firstly, our domain-specific large vision model that can recognize and interpret anything coming out from the equipment's UI, including things that it has never seen before. We are extremely proud of the work we have done in our foundational vision models. Secondly, agentic AI that can emulate human decision making. And we install our AI agents in InnoConnect, this device you see over here, that connects non-intrusively to any manufacturing equipment in order to control it autonomously. We like to call this autonomous manufacturing in a box. So now that you have seen our technology onto the product, AI agents need to be programmed with subject domain knowledge in order for them to be useful. We are proud to introduce iWave Autopilot, a platform that allows engineers to directly inject their expertise into the agents. So they start off by selecting a template from a large library of previously automated machine workflows, which will populate the workflow builder with powerful pre-built functional blocks. New blocks can be created on the fly using our Gen AI with 0 hallucinations. This is another key innovation, our simulator. So during deployment, engineers can test every possible equipment scenario in a virtual environment to ensure 100% safety transparency, accuracy. Any errors detected at this step will be automatically fixed by the Gen AI. So this is a project we have done for a IDM. You can see over here that they are having trouble having to manually review over 500 images every hour as part of their normal machine operation. What we have done with our AI agents is you can see the interpretation and the judgment and execution is almost instantaneous, far exceeding human capabilities. This increases machine output by 20% and reduces manual review to 0. This is real money for our customers, increasing their revenue and reducing costs. This is another project we have done for a foundries that is global in nature to automate the entire CDSM fleet. So previously, machine operators have to interpret and manually handle 1,200 alarms every day. And part of this requires an interpretation of 60,000 images and growing. They couldn't find any solutions until they deploy our AI agents. After deployment, manpower reduction, bam, 80%. Response time, bam, real time. Most importantly, autonomy levels of the machines now are close to 100%. So we are already working with more than 70% of the global tier 1 companies, and we will exceed $4 million revenue this year. We are seeing enormous demand, especially from Malaysia and Germany in the last 6 months, and our conversion rate is now over 90% for our sales engagements. So we are already horizontally scaling across different industries, and we are seeing exponential growth primarily thanks to our repeated engagements with existing customers. We are the first movers in combining state-of-the-art vision interpretation, programmable and agentic decision making with real-time execution using our optimized edge computing. Our vision is clear. Every time there's a new factory or expanding factory capacity, skilled labor is going to be the least of your concerns. With the added benefit, of course, with improving the quality of life of engineers so that factories can better attract talent. And we are looking for partners and investors today. So please join us. Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we've got questions from the judges. 5 minutes has begun. Judges, do we have a question for Mike? I think we got one from Russell from Temasek International, please.
Hi, maybe you pointed out to a few pretty good use cases on the visual side. How would you be thinking about non-visual industrial automation in your current platform?
Okay, so there are kind of two ways to answer this, right? We do have the capability to take machine data directly using InnoConnect as well, which can extract machine data to do things that are beyond human capabilities, which is usually forecast prediction related. But I want to draw the attention also that all OEM, every equipment maker, designs the UI in a way that is fit for purpose for the humans to operate the equipment in its full capacity. So our product in its elegance is to use just the UI and then emulate human decision making. And then the challenge is then to interpret anything that is being generated by the UI itself, just as a human would. Yeah.
We've got about 4 minutes left. We have Tishan from Granite Asia.
Can you comment a little bit about the whole onboarding process, understanding the process needs of your customers, and the implementation process to make this? How long does it take, and what are the implementation cycle look like?
So the onboarding process, a lot of time, especially as a new customer, is to convince them this is even possible. So we will scope out some projects and let them know that, okay, pilot tool, pilot machine, we showed it, we prove it, it is possible. The second one is, of course, we start to program it. We will work with depending whether it's an operator, a technician, AE, engineer, so on and so forth, to know what their OCAP and their SOP is, and then program it into the AI agent, and then just deploy it. So it starts off usually with a pilot tool. We achieve 100% automation with a pilot tool, and then the rest is just rolling out across either different machines, machine types, sites, countries, industries, so on and so forth.
About 3 minutes left. We have Rajesh from Khosla Ventures.
You seem to be focusing on very specific problems within a semiconductor industry, metrology, CDSM, and so on. How do you expand it significantly within the semiconductor industry, and how do you take that to other industries beyond the niche areas you're focusing on?
That's a very interesting question. So I don't have enough time, but there are a lot of use cases. I will give you one very interesting one for the backend, for IDM backend. So you can imagine step 1, step 2 metrology, right? Something like that. And every single time we will be monitoring metrology with InnoConnect as well to basically find out what is the quality. And as long as the quality is good, we will dynamically increase the UPH by configuring in real time lot-to-lot optimization of the first two steps until we detect a drop in quality, and then we tune it back. So at any one time, your entire factory is running at maximum UPH. That's number one. So another use case that we're kind of working with an agency is to autonomize their knock and sort, NOC, SOC. So usually SOC, NOC, when they have any kind of issue, there's a playbook or run cut that they follow, and a lot of that requires human decision making. All that can be programmed into the platform itself.
What's the revenue model?
So the revenue model, last week we just announced the release of the platform in a joint event with IMDA, IPI, SSIA, and Siemens. So this platform will allow us to have a recurring income from the subscription of the platform and the agents. So we are seeing, that's why we are confident to triple our revenue next year. A big part is because of this release, public release of this platform.
We've got about a minute 20 left. More questions? Magnus of Antler, please.
Hi.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit about the underlying AI engine behind all of this, how you built it, the team? We'd love to get a bit more details.
Okay, so we are extremely fortunate to have formed a core team of researchers and developers. A lot of our developers are young, but they are extremely talented. And so we go through a long process to get the best around the world, and it's not just Singapore. So I'm not the technology guy, but this is essentially the process, basically to attract the best in the world, get them to stay, give them a vision that they can believe in to build this product. Yeah.
We've got about 40 seconds left. Do we have a final question for Mike? I think the judges look pretty satisfied. Thank you, judges. Thank you once again, Mike.
Thank you.
For InnoWave Tech. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll go on to startup number 5 out of 12 for Loop Diagnostics. Please welcome Juan Bieira. Hello, Juan.
Hello.
All smiles. All right, Juan, 5 minutes. The time starts now.
Hello, everyone. My name is Juan from Loop Diagnostics, and I'm here to talk about one of the deadliest conditions in the world. It's sepsis. Sepsis kills 11 million people every year and is the #1 cause of death in US hospitals. There's some good news. It can be treated, but every hour that a patient isn't treated, the chances of survival plummet down. And despite knowing this, a staggering 21% of septic patients are still diagnosed more than 24 hours late. How can that be? It happens because current diagnostic solutions don't work. They focus on measuring two things, either signs of infection or organ damage. But these are known to appear in late-stage sepsis. So it's like trying to diagnose cancer by finding metastasis. At Loop, we identified an indicator of early-stage sepsis, host immune response. And we built a device called the SeptiLoop to measure that. So let me show you how it works. It's as simple to use as a COVID test. You just need to mix 1 milliliter of blood sample of the patient with 1 milliliter of this reagent that is designed to stimulate the immune cells in the blood. After that stimulation, you use this other device with a lateral flow strip that will analyze the response of the immune cells and give you a positive, negative result for sepsis. So it's pretty straightforward. But this methodology is very robust and protected by our IP portfolio, composed of 2 patents, a design patent, brand protection, as well as trade secret for the formulation of these components. The SeptiLoop has been clinically validated in more than 600 patients and shown astonishing results, with 3 times more sensitivity than the current standard of care, even from the first hour of the disease, reduction in mortality by 10%, and reduction in length of stay. So these clinical results have granted us regulatory approval in both the UK and the EU. Not only that, but these results also outmatch any sepsis product that is currently out there, even the new players in the field, because we're the only ones that can detect the disease from the very first hour all the way to the end of the condition while keeping our technology at a very low cost. The sepsis screening market is massive, because there are so many reasons why a doctor may want to screen for sepsis. Imagine a patient shows up in the emergency department with a very high fever. or chills without fever, or even low blood oxygen levels. All of these are reasons why an emergency department doctor may want to test for sepsis, which renders a market of $3 billion in Europe, $8 billion in Asia Pacific. To penetrate this market, our business model is direct sales through medical device distributors that already have a sales network presence in the regions of interest. And through this model, we already have presence in some European countries and are now growing into others. After Europe, our objective will be to increase manufacturing volumes to reduce manufacturing costs and therefore reach profitability. And Asia Pacific is the perfect region for that, for 3 reasons. 1, high testing volumes, due to a high population as well as high burden of the disease. Second one, low entry barriers, especially from a regulatory perspective, an established network and partnerships with corporate companies here. Third one, good product market fit with point of care testing already being a model that has been tested. This year, we just got regulatory approval and started generating revenue. And in the coming years, we want to grow in those markets as well as secure new markets, so that by 2028, we have enough revenue to become a valuable acquisition objective. Based on other comparables in the market, we could be acquired by 100 to 150 million once we reach that revenue. And sepsis is just the beginning, because our methodology is really about characterizing the immune system. So any condition where the immune system is altered, we can diagnose. Bacteremia is first, but oncology, cystic fibrosis, liver failure, or immunoparalysis are examples of areas where we already have research ongoing to see how our technology would perform. The founding team has experience with Enrique, PhD in immunology and infectious diseases, Edu, with experience in big pharma, and myself with training at Stanford University in biodesign, as well as in product development at startup companies. And we're advised by a board of serial entrepreneurs, as well as key opinion leaders in sepsis. So if you want to help us save millions of lives, as well as get a 5x ROI, we have an investment round open, so please reach out if you're interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. 5 minutes now with the judges. Timer has started. We have a question from Magnus of Antler, please.
This is great. Obviously, it will save a lot of lives. Can you talk about the scientific discovery or the manufacturing innovation that led to you being such a better solution than the other ones you described there?
Yes, absolutely. So this has to do, I have a backup slide, I may go to that. This has to do with a lot of the research that our CEO did in his background as a PhD. He was studying how the immune system behaves in this condition. We have several publications on that, several scientific publications, and we discovered a new cellular pathway that is altered in septic patients. By stimulating the cellular pathway and seeing if it's altered or not, it's a unique way that before wasn't known, but it's a unique way to diagnose sepsis. So we patented that methodology on how to prompt that pathway and how to measure the immune response to tell us whether or not there's an alteration in cells.
I believe we have a question from Rajesh of Costler Ventures.
Yeah, I agree. It's an important problem. I'm surprised you've gotten so much traction with little money. A lot of companies have been successful with CE certification but failed in US FDA. What is your status with US FDA regulatory approval?
Yes, so right now we are filing for a breakthrough device designation, which would make us a regulatory approval much faster. We are relatively lucky that in sepsis, the FDA is very aware of the problem and it's an unsolved need, and therefore the risk-benefit analysis that you need to prove for FDA has been lowered, and you see some other products that we even outperform in clinical trials, having gotten approval recently in the last 2 to 3 years. So in that sense, with FDA, we're confident that we can follow 510K pathway, which is straightforward, through a breakthrough device designation.
What would be the timeline for that?
We estimate about 1.5 years to 2 years, yeah.
Judges, we've got about 3 minutes left. Any more questions for Juan? A question from Cindy of Enterprise Singapore, please.
Where are you manufacturing your devices? And in a sense, with the round that you're raising, is it about deepening that particular track, or is it about developing your devices for the other diseases as you talked about?
Say that again, sorry? Where or when? Sorry.
Where?
Oh, where? Yeah, so our manufacturing is divided in 2 centers, one facility in China, one facility in the United Kingdom, plus the final assembly being done in our facilities in Spain. Most of the funding round will go into growing sales volumes in Europe, and therefore automating, because right now most of the manufacturing is manual. A lot of processes are done because of the low volumes. As we scale, we will be able to automate many of these processes and therefore reducing our costs and increasing profitability.
I think we have a question from Zishan of Granite Asia.
Yeah. Can you comment a little bit about the commercial effort? Because I see that the revenue projection that you have from above half a million euro to something like 1.4 next year. I'm just trying to understand, what does it take to commercialize the solution into the different hospitals and channels that you might have?
Yes, so our business model is what allows for rapid growth. Because we go through medical device distributors and we are picky with our distributors, so we want them to already have a sales network present, we partner with one distributor for each country that we want to sell to. With the distributors, we sign a minimum order quantity of 5,000 devices per year. And therefore, because they already have these partnerships with the existing hospitals, they can leverage their existing sepsis portfolios to, for example, offer bundled products where they have follow-up products for sepsis as well as our product as an initial screening. And this is the model that allows us for achieving such a fast growth, is to leverage existing connections and existing sales network from the distributors that we partner with.
Got about 45 seconds left. Judges, do you have a final quick question for John? I think they were pretty good.
I don't mind asking one more.
Rajesh,
So,
please.
if it's CE certified, why do you think it will take 2 years to get through FDA?
So
You should be able to get it in 3 to 6 months if it works.
Mostly it's going to be through the clinical trial. FDA will require us to run a clinical trial in the United States, and therefore that's what normally takes the longest time to set up. We know that we could even go a little lower than that, so maybe 1 year is a target that we could feasibly achieve, but we're trying to be a little bit conservative with 1.5 to 2 years.
Fortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you, judges. Once again, Juan of Loop Diagnostics.
Thank you very much.
If you just joined us, welcome, welcome. This is the top 12 grand finals of Slingshot 2025, Asia's most exciting deep tech startup competition. From thousands now to the top 12. Please welcome, for Nala Genetics, Lavana Sani. Hi, Lavana.
Hello.
I see you've got a t-shirt on today. Are you ready?
Yes.
Good luck. 5 minutes starts now.
Thank you so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Levi. I'm the co-founder and CEO for Nala Genetics, and we do genetic interpretation software for preventative care. I built this company for my grandfather, who could have been saved if he was receiving the right beta blocker for his heart condition, but instead, he got polypharmacy, developed Parkinsonism, and eventually led to his death. So although personalized medicine can save lives and many others like him today, physician adoption is still lacking because they're still asking the same questions like, why should I test? Because the clinical utility and evidence is still growing. Who do I test? Because with that evidence, the indication is also growing. And what do I do after testing, knowing that the evidence changes year on year? And so instead of just building a testing platform, we developed an end-to-end service platform to ensure clinical utility is maximized for any hospital system who is looking to implement predictive genetic testing. We start with patient selection, which includes best practices advisories that is integrated into electronic health record systems. We also build an AI-powered pre- and post-test counseling because genetic counselors are a big issue in this part of the world. There's not enough of them. We also do sample analysis that is cost-effective for the region. And finally, knowledge base updates that is automatically updated for hundreds of doctors in our network instantly in their electronic health record systems as well. By partnering with a lot of local providers in this region, we realized also that the current algorithms and biomarkers are not enough. Other genetic testing providers focus on what's called monogenic risk. We include polygenic risk and clinical risk scores to ensure that the sensitivity and positive predictive value for germline sequencing is the maximum for this part of the world. By doing this, we are building algorithms that is more ethnically adjusted, more clinically actionable, and is updated using patients' lifestyles as well. We don't only do this for personalized medicine. We do this for personalized screening, which is very important for preventative care in diseases like breast cancer and cardiovascular disease. We also do this for personalized nutrition and personalized lifestyle. And right now is the right time to invest in genetic testing. I know you have heard this before, but today 80% of Asian countries are now launching or about to implement their insights into translational science in their respective countries, launching population genome projects that are important as a bedrock for genetic testing to become mainstream. And of course, we know since COVID, clinical labs have included genetic testing as part of their growth exponentially. We are the right team to address this because we're a spin-off from Genome Institute of Singapore, and we've built meaningful collaborations with partners in the field and the region to ensure that our market offering is what the region needs. And if we do this correctly, we're supposed to be testing 30% of the population, but only 1% gets tested today. And this is based on the guidelines that these physicians are following anyway. So to ensure that the adoption curve keeps on going up, we make sure that the onboarding is as simple as possible. Schedule a demo, get onboarded in 1 to 2 weeks, get a pilot phase visit with us so you can customize whatever you want in the report, and finally pay an annual license, either where you pay per report if you're a lab and have your own sequencing capabilities, or if you're a clinic or hospital, you also pay for the sequencing and genotyping together with us. And with this approach, we've partnered with researchers and labs, population genome projects that are trusting us to ensure that their translational genetic testing is meaningful for their patients, hospital and provider partners, as well as the top 5 sequencing companies who are ready to onboard our software to thousands of their install base globally. For other types of competitors in the market, like Sophia Genetics, they're not maximizing for localization and cost effectiveness the way that we do. And by maximizing those two things, we're able to aim for profitability in next year and also growing in terms of revenue and pipeline year on year. But really, who we're doing this is for Benjamin and others like him, who are struggling with hypertension and finally managed to get the right medication for statin that he can take every day without having to worry about his back pain or the risk of cardiovascular disease in the future. We're doing this for Nina and others like her, who has GERD and also now is able to manage her lifestyle and also medication. And of course, for my grandfather, who if received the right medication, could be with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavana. All right, we have 5 minutes now with the judges. The time has started. Judges would like to go first. We've got Rajesh from Costler Ventures, please.
Leaving the workflow and the business model aside, how do you compare with somebody like what 23andMe tried or Map My Genome tried in India? Think of it as a global question, not a Singapore-specific question.
Yeah, of course. So, for example, 23andMe and Map My Genome are both direct-to-consumer companies. The business model is flawed because people don't buy genetic testing twice, right? They just buy it once a year, once in their lifetime. What we do is we treat the hospital or the partner, the business partner, as our customer. They pay an annual license to us, or they pay essentially per doctor, prescribes 5 to 10 tests a month, which means that we're able to be profitable. We have healthy CAC over LTV ratios, and we're ensuring that their partners are sticky with us because we are integrated with them.
But if your global competitors change their business model, can they compete with you better? That's why I said leave the workflow and the business model aside. Purely from the science perspective, is there anything differentiated?
Yeah, of course. So this is why we have this slide, which is the monogenic, polygenic, and clinical risk score. Yes, companies are looking at different ways of combining the biomarkers, but the way that you're actually, everything is an algorithm that you can validate, right? The question is whether or not you have the right data partners and whether or not you're able to do this quickly and making sure the data is actually validated in a way that is secure and still maintain ownership by these different partners. So our platform actually leverages on federated learning to ensure that all the pipelines that we're developing and validating in countries like Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and Malaysia are still within their respective countries. We develop the algorithm, we validate within the pilot period, and then establish a clinically validated pipeline that is specific for that population in the annual licensing phase.
Thank you.
We've got about 3 minutes. Magnus of Antler.
Yeah, just following up on Rajesh's question. Obviously, a very important, fast-growing area, so very exciting. If you think about your key differentiator long term, is it a better algorithm, or is it better data, or is it better software, or is it a better sales process? We just love to understand, like.
I've thought about this a lot. Yeah, thanks so much for the question. It's the best partnership. Because as a genetic tertiary reporting software, we don't exist alone. We exist in an ecosystem where we're leveraging on the install bases of sequencing companies. We're leveraging on connections to electronic health record systems that want to use and want to build APIs together with us. We're also leveraging on hospital partners and insurance companies who care about the population level insights that we're going to generate. So the best way to win this market is the best partnerships. And we are proud to say that we've partnered with the top 5 sequencing companies. We're the first genetic testing to actually be covered by the second largest insurance provider in Singapore and the first one to do so in Indonesia. So we're on the right path.
Got about 1:45. We've got a question from Russell of Temasek International, please.
Is there a way that you can articulate? So maybe the question is this: do you have a data advantage? In very simplistic terms.
Yeah, of course. So a data advantage in our mind is partnering with the data owners. Number one, owning data today doesn't mean much because you can always buy, you can always get it from somewhere. Genetic data, the best genetic data, is the one that is connected with electronic health record system that is growing. Who's the best owner for that? The government. So we partner with governments to ensure that we provide value to them. That's why population genomic projects are the key partnerships that really establishes our bedrock and presence. For example, in Singapore, we partner with Precise to report pharmacogenomics reporting software because they have an issue where each cluster cannot integrate their own electronic health record system. So we've developed a mobile app where the patient is able to get their genetic testing report, show a QR code to any doctor they can see in Singapore or abroad, and get the clinical recommendation that is required for that patient so that patient can finally say, what drug are you allergic to? All they need to do is show that mobile app. So I think the way to essentially make sure that we have the data leverage is to be able to ensure that, number one, there's cybersecurity and federated learning, and number two, we make sure that all the data custodianship stays within the partner and we partner with them instead.
I think we've got about 20 seconds left, not enough time. Unless it's a very
Just
quick
a
one.
quick one.
Yes.
Like the partnership thing is it's both good and bad. So you are so dependent on your partners to actually help you to do the commercialization. Can you just give a short, comment on that?
Yeah, of course. So companies like the top sequencing companies don't want to do this. They go up until what's called the secondary analysis and tertiary analysis because the Indonesia would want to say, I have a different formulary than Singapore. Customize it for me. I want different clinical validation for breast cancer, cardiovascular. For Thai population, the southern Thai population is different than the northern Thai population. Sequencing companies don't want to do this, and so they leave it up to us. So.
Short answer. That was not a short answer.
Sorry about that.
Thank you
so much.
judges. Thank you, Lavana. Good luck. Thank you. All right. On to our next startup. This is the top 12 grand finals. Please welcome on stage for Phase Trim. It's Wayne Tsai. Oh, I like that, Wayne. Yes. You can do it.
Yes.
Yes. Wayne, 5 minutes. Ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Deep breath. Time starts now.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Wayne Tsai, CEO of Phastron. We provide the best phase array solution for scalability and production efficiency. I live in California, Fremont, and when I drive 10 minutes, then there's no internet in my mobile phone. So people living in this kind of a huge country, they do need satellite internet in daily life. And now the all satellite operators are replacing their very heavy dish terminal to be A4 size, very portable, lightweight phase array terminal. But only Starlink succeeds to do it. We needed to make it in a backpack, to climb the mountain, to go to the desert, to go to the North Pole, so we don't need to take any risk without the internet connection. But everyone are looking for the solution, and Phastron AIP and FaceTuner got selected by many operators and customers because we can save power consumption and terminal size 50%, increase 10 times of power production efficiency, making it design easier, and also help our customers to enter 25 billion market. The market comes from 3 billion people no internet, and also new 80 million devices to be deployed and they're replaced every 5 years. And all the government are preparing for Ukraine war situation as all the communication will be disconnected except satellite. The market size is 16 billion. Half of it is our chip. And every unit we can sell $3,000. We have patents, and we have 3 generation chips, AIP, combine 4 antenna in one package. And phase tuner control the phase difference in the signal branch. That makes all the architecture and technology difference and bring all the benefits. It helps us also design better AESA radar. So our customers are working with us to design a radar with wide frequency and high dynamic range, high power for gallium nitride, and low cost by CMOS, and a dedicated system design. This ASIC revenue helps us to break even now, and we are fundraising $5 million for our customers' certification and mass production next year, targeting $300 million revenue in 4 years. We focus on satellite communication and the radar market, even though our RFIC can do many things, but we only focus on these 2 platforms. And we provide the RFIC and the antenna and the PCB RF integrated design because all of them are related with radio frequency. We help our customers to design and manufacture easier. With our BD experience in commercial market and defense market, and also 15 full-time engineers led by NYCU professor teams, and leveraging TSMC foundry in 65 nanometers, and also the Taiwan semiconductor ecosystems. As a member of Taiwan NASA, so-called TASA, and also 2 operators are waiting for our solution and more to come. Welcome to be our partners to make the world connected anytime, anywhere. Thank you.
Very much, Wayne. All right, we've got 5 minutes with the judges. I'm sure they have questions. Judges, who would like to go first? We got Rajesh of Khosla Ventures.
Help me understand how you complement or compete with Starlink.
Okay. Starlink is like the satellite industry Apple. They do everything. They do satellite, they do user terminal, they do chip, they do device. So everyone wants to compete with them. And all our customers, operators, they know how to launch satellite. They know how to design satellite, but they don't know how to design chip. They don't know how to design with brand makers to make a system device. So it's kind of operators and system makers and our OEM makers to make the whole supply chain so they can have alternative solution out of Starlink.
We've got a question from Magnus of Antler. Please.
Congrats on this. Just talk us a little bit through the technology. Like you showed, for example, that your chip is quite a bit smaller than the one in Starlink. Is that due to like the underlying science, or is it manufacturing, or talk us a little bit about your competitive edge?
It comes from this architecture. Our solution is a upper part, and we control the signal difference, phase difference in the branch, in the signal branch. Our competitors, they need to separate the signal 10 times, so it's already 30 dB downgrade. But we add the gain every stage, so we can keep the gain continuously and make the final chip to focus on power output. So we can save 50% power consumption based on this secret, and it's patented.
We've got about 3 minutes left. Do we have any more questions? Judges?
Can I?
Yes.
Sorry. Can I just add on to what Rajesh asked? So is your solution going to be compatible with Starlink, or it's an alternative to Starlink?
Okay. Starlink solution is KU band. Our solution starting from KA then we will move to KU band. If the band is the same, then we can support them. So one day we will come to Elon Musk to say, hey, my solution is better. How come? Try a test.
Judges, do we have another question? We've got about 2 minutes 40 left on the clock. One from Magnus again. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about like where you are in the journey of generating revenue, getting customers on board, and who's going to be like your biggest first customers?
Okay, our biggest customer will come in from Teleset. They will launch all their constellation around 700, 2027. So they are working with us and talking with our partners to provide the ACU and the modem. And we will supply with the Taiwan supply chain, Quanta and Compo, to give them the whole end user terminal. We only design chip, but our customer know how to cost down and manufacture. And our operator customer, they know the system and the satellite demand. So it becoming a perfect combination.
Any more questions, judges, for Wayne? I think they look pretty satisfied. Thank you, judges. Once again, Wayne for FaceTrim. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, please welcome next on stage for photosynthetic. We've got Alexander Kostenko. Hello, Alex. Don't forget your clicker.
Yep.
All right, 5 minutes. Ready?
There we go.
5 minutes starts now.
Good afternoon, everyone. I will repeat myself again after yesterday. I'm very happy to be surrounded by people who love innovation and technology. And I believe that the most significant innovations today are made at the micron and nanoscale. Without microfluidics, we wouldn't have portable medical diagnostics. Without optical waveguides, we wouldn't have photonic chips, augmented reality glasses, quantum computers. These are technologies that are literally shaping our future. By 2030, we will have combined more than $100 billion markets based on micro and nanotech. But they're really, really hard to commercialize. They take tens of years to develop, and only about 4% actually become commercial products. Now, imagine that we can change that conversion number, and this is what we are trying to do at Photosynthetic. The bottleneck here is that when we're creating these technologies in the lab, we're using advanced additive manufacturing techniques which give you a full freedom of design, but are very expensive. Then you have to move to mass production technologies, which are cost-effective but limited in terms of geometry to two-dimensional flat structure. And this transition is not always possible, especially for advanced products and for small companies that are trying to commercialize them. Now, we believe that we can change that. The current golden standard is two-photon lithography. It's a technique where a very expensive laser is used to polymerize a structure within a liquid resin point by point. We can do it with 1 million light beams at the same time, driven by a very advanced computer algorithm we developed, which basically makes a 3D structure almost instantaneously, enabling first-of-a-kind serial production method for complex microstructures and polymers. This is how it looks in real life. We have a hardware prototype, and we can create structures that are literally smaller than a human hair within seconds, real time, like you see on the screen. And very early on, even before the technology was actually working properly, we engaged with first customers, getting ideas from them for products that they want to develop, basically, which are impossible to make otherwise. And we engaged in this kind of prototyping projects. Give you a few examples. We developed a prototype of a microneedle array patch for vaccination for a medtech company, which was impossible to make with injection molding because of the structures of these microneedles. We developed microfluidic chips for single-cell capture and analysis for cancer diagnostics. Again, moving for the first time from a silicon-based technology to polymer-based technology, reducing the cost of production and also reducing the cost of prototyping, which now allows customers to have multiple chips for different cell types instead of having only one that now exists on the market. So here we are now testing two business models. One is fixed on sales of printers, and we're selling the first printer prototype to a medical university in the Netherlands next year, and it will be used for a project dedicated to kidney research, artificial kidney. We, at the same time, developing proof of concept projects that feed into a printing as a service, and as a next step, we want to scale printing as a service model as well. Now, the challenge here, of course, is to actually select the market we want to be on among all the different verticals that require microfabrication. For now, given our technology readiness level, we chose a specific segment within microfluidics market that is dedicated to basically operations with living cells, which basically fits very well with our technology readiness level. But I want to impress it on you that there are other markets as well that we can target later on in the future when our technology becomes more mature, markets which are growing really fast today and have enormous value. Just recently this year, we actually secured $2.5 million from European Union to build a pilot facility, and next year we are raising 2 million rounds to basically commercialize technology to produce serial printers and to finalize the certification processes. With your investments, we will be able to also unlock Asian markets, of course. Now, we are a very multidisciplinary team. My name is Alexander Kostenko. I'm a founder of Photosynthetic. You can find Magdalena here in the room. She's my colleague. And I wanted to finish today saying that yesterday somebody reminded me that we had a delegation from NAMEC in 2023 in Amsterdam, and now we are in 2025 visiting Singapore in return. I don't believe in coincidences. I think this is a real opportunity for us to put effort into exploring Asian markets and to understanding what kind of value we can create here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexander. All right, 5 minutes. Time has begun. We have a question already from Zishan from Granite Asia, please.
Can you comment a little bit more about the use case, like the end use case where people will use this in volume, and what are the type of applications?
So the application that we are focusing right now, I think this is the most sensible one to explain. Imagine that there are companies that develop medical diagnostic devices that use microfluidic chips to, for instance, filter blood samples to select cells one by one and have it digitally analyzed. These chips now are extremely hard to manufacture, and we are basically providing a very easy, customizable platform to do it. And also, then these customers will be able to make these chips in thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, which is ideal for their initial customization or, let's say, commercialization roadmap, which is then extremely expensive to do with alternative methods. This is one of the examples.
I think we've got a question now from Russell of Temasek International.
Yeah, maybe could you just explain a bit more detail the portion where you called out volumetric microlithography? Just love to hear a bit more about that. I guess that's kind of the secret sauce here.
Yes. So the inspiration for a method comes from a bit of a random direction. It's inspired by X-ray tomography. And here, the principle of X-ray tomography is used in the opposite direction. We have a computer algorithm that calculates a sequence of images that are focused within the volume. And these images combine in the volume in such a way that actually create the 3D structure through a chemical process of polymerization. There is a secret component to it, which is also dual wavelengths chemistry, which means that the chemical reaction can be either accelerated with one wavelength of light or one color, and can be deaccelerated with the other wavelengths of light, so with the other color. And basically, that whole process in the volume is first pre-calculated by a computer algorithm. It spits out the images, and then we project them, creating the structure.
We've got about 2.5 minutes. I think Rajesh has a question, or Rajesh, yes, of Cosmo Ventures.
Trying to understand what problem you're solving. Microfluidics today is a commodity industry, really cheap product. Some of the applications you talked about for Meta or photonic chips are all nanoscale. So this technology will never get there. So just trying to understand what problem are you really solving?
The problem, okay, I may disagree. It's not very politically correct, but I'll disagree with the jury member. Photonics is not only about nanoscale, it is micron, submicron. And our resolution ultimately will go down to 100 nanometers. So you can call our technology nanofabrication.
Meta example for waveguides is nanometer. The Infinera example you gave is nanometer. So really trying to understand where exactly. There are photonics applications, but help me understand.
So in photonics application, I think the very interesting area for us is optical waveguides. So this is a part of photonic integrated chip packaging. You need to couple right now the light into the chip, for which you need to either create micro lenses directly on the chip, or you need to create basically 3D structures that guide the light. And these structures are not nanometers. They are, you know, maybe even 100 micron in total size, but they need a very high precision, which is why for us we're not focusing on this right now. The applications that we're focusing now, indeed, they are a bit lower value, but we're looking for very specific examples where, for instance, these microfluidic chips, right now they are on the market and they cost 100 euros per chip in that specific case. And then we target that.
We've got about a minute left. I think Cindy of Enterprise Singapore has a question.
Can help me understand your business model a little bit better? So now you have sold a printer and you're developing the printing as a service as the main thrust of your business. What kind of capabilities do you need to build, or what kind of network, what's your market for printing as a service, as opposed to sort of just improving the product?
So if we are kind of learning from our competitors, and we see that every competitor uses some combination of both. We've never seen a case where you purely do one thing, only one thing. Because essentially you want to develop printers, but you also need to have a kind of a low threshold way to demonstrate they work in certain applications. So then you develop those projects in-house, and you are also producing them, also perhaps capturing more value from producing a certain type of structure and selling that structure. So yes, they have pros and cons. Selling a printer will probably cost a lot of time, but gives you a lot of cash once you can do it. The other model is lower threshold, potentially smaller revenue.
That's all the time we have, unfortunately, judges. Thank you very much. Thank you, Alexander of Photosynthetic. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are on to startup number 9 out of 12. Please welcome on stage Remedium Energy, Dr. Omid Sakhafifa. Hello, Dr. Omid.
Hello.
I love the nice handshake, the camaraderie. I love that. Are you ready?
Yes.
5 minutes starts now.
Hi, my name is Omid. I'm co-founder and CEO of Remedium. But today, I want to tell you a story. So come back with me to January of 2020. I was in my 3rd year of PhD. One day in the lab, I saw a new face, a visiting scholar from Canada. His name was Moji, and I was given a task to show him around Cambridge. So we headed out. I remember it was a sunny day. I know, sunny January UK sounds suspicious already, but believe me, it was sunny. We ended up at a cafe in front of King's College, talking like our good PhD students about our research. Because let's face it, as PhD students, we didn't have anything else going on in our life. Moji's PhD was on developing a new material for carbon capture. I was always skeptical of carbon capture. So I asked, Moji, why do we need carbon capture when we have renewable energies? Moji looked slightly annoyed, wrote down these 3 numbers. He explained that 20% of all CO2 emissions comes from industries with inherent CO2 emissions. These emissions cannot be eliminated with renewables. He continued that point source carbon capture is currently too expensive, $100 per ton, and 60% of that is associated with 2 things, material and energy. Then he showed me his material, lime loop, that can capture 36 times more CO2 over its lifetime than natural limestone and cuts the material cost by more than 80%. But still didn't know how to reduce the energy cost. I told him, Moji, I might have a solution for you. I explained that my PhD is on heat batteries. Moji looked confused. What is a heat battery? I explained a heat battery stores cheap electricity as heat and then converts it back into electricity. Moji looked even more confused. How does that help me? My answer? 4 words. Carbon capture heat battery. I explained that when we expose lime loop to exhaust gases, it captures CO2 and releases heat, which we convert into electricity. Later on, we convert cheap electricity into heat and use it to regenerate lime loop so it can capture CO2 again. Since the electricity we buy is cheaper than the electricity we sell using electricity arbitrage, we're not just reducing the energy cost, we are making money from it. This idea excited both of us and led to founding Remedium. And it all started on that sunny day. Since then, we have shown that our cost of capture is only $13 per ton. We have tested Lime Loop for 100 cycles, reaching TRL 5, built a demo of carbon capture heat battery, reaching TRL 4, filed 2 patents, participated in several very selective climate tech accelerator programs, won international awards, and received a letter of intent. And beyond just a low cost, we produce food-grade CO2, sold at $200 per ton, and our process is waste-free because Lime Loop can be converted into cement after its lifetime. Our long-term goal is to build carbon capture plants for our clients through joint venture partnership with engineering firm. To get there, we have 2 key milestones: a scale-up Lime Loop production and build a pilot plant. In short term, we sell Lime Loop directly to companies that are currently using natural limestone for CO2 captures, and in medium term, our pilot plant can be sold as a standalone modular heat battery for high temperature heat storage applications. These phase approach enable us to generate early revenue while advancing the 2 aspects of our solution, de-risking our path to a full-scale carbon capture market. Our team speaks for itself. We have PhDs, postdocs, MBAs from the best universities around the world: Cambridge, Oxford, MIT, INSEAD, with more than 100 years of accumulated experience in relevant research, industry, and startups. And we are raising 1.5 million to do 3 things: manufacture Lime Loop at ton scale, do a live flue gas test of Lime Loop reaching TRL 8, and demonstrate the battery at kilowatt hour. By the way, here's a photo of me emoji on that day. You see, I told you it was sunny. So now, for you guys have been in the UK, tell me, what do you do on a sunny day in January? You step outside so you don't miss it, right? Same applies here. Interested? Let's talk.
Thank you, Dr. Omid. We believe you with the pictures. Sunny day in London.
Sunny day in London, yes.
That is the impossibility. We've got 5 minutes with the judges now. Who would like to go first? I think Cindy from Enterprise Singapore, please.
Can you tell me a bit more about Lime Loop? Like, what's it made of? What does that supply chain look like? What does it take to get to production scale?
Sure. So the main problem with natural limestone is that when you want to regenerate it, you have to heat it up to 900 degrees C, and that would sinterate. So you start with a porous structure, and you end up with basically less porosity, and you're no longer can capture CO2 because your capture capacity is linked with how much gas and solid would react. What we have done, we have added a secondary material to it, a stabilizer. But the novelty is not the material, it's how well dispersed this secondary material is within limestone. It's simple MgO. Like MgO instead of limestone, you can find it, a natural-based dolomite is also have MgO in calcium carbonate. What we have done that is novel is the process of manufacturing this sorbent that with just 5% MgO, we can achieve significant performance improvement. These are basically our experimental results. And so it is gonna be utilized the similar calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate to basically manufacture this, but the way that we synthesize it is the important factor that improves its performance quite significantly.
I believe we're at the question round from Magnus of Antler, please.
Yeah, very exciting. In the way that you're describing 2 businesses, as far as I understand, like one is cheaper electricity delivery, right? And the other is a better way of capturing carbon.
That's right.
So I'm just wondering, do you need to do them both at the same time? Is that required for your business, or should you pursue kind of one of these where you have a bigger advantage than the other? How are you thinking about that going forward?
So they are inherent nature of each other. So basically, when we capture CO2, we can provide heat storage. When we provide heat storage, we can provide carbon capture. Now, your question is interesting because just this month, we saw 2 big heat batteries projects in the world. One was run by Rondo Energy, the other one was run by Kyoto in Hungary for a corn plant that would convert it into sugar. That was a very interesting case for us because that plant has inherent CO2 emissions, and they had, what Kyoto done was provide a heat battery solution to them. So to fully decarbonize them, they still require carbon capture. And if we were at the scale that we would provide, we would be able to provide functions to them, I think we would have been basically an absolute winner in that case, because we are efficient, basically our energy density is higher, and we also capture their CO2, and it's biogenic CO2, it's considered net negative, so they could have actually benefit from the CO2 as well. So we're looking at the processes where CO2 is inherent and they require process heat, and that's where we would excel compared to any competitors in either of those fields. Yeah.
I think we've got a question now from Zishan of Granite Asia, please.
Yeah, so just to follow on what Cindy and Magnus have asked, can you comment a little bit about the unit economics, how it would look like, where are you today versus where you could be sometime down the road?
Sure. So the unit economic, if you're specifically talking about lime loop, we have done detailed analysis. Our cost of synthesizing the material is higher than the natural limestone, obviously, but because it can capture 36 times more, it reduces the cost of capture quite significantly, and that's where the number of 80% reduction in material cost is coming from. As you can see here, this is only considering the cost of material, but it also simplifies operation. You don't need to constantly replace your material, you don't need the transportation, and the operation, instead of having a fluidized bed, you will only require a fixed bed. So these are the advantages that we couldn't quantify in this analysis, and I think those will even increase the advantage of having lime loop compared to using a natural solvent in our process. And in terms of where we are currently, we are basically just came out of the university. We are University of Cambridge and Calgary spin-out. We were doing this at the university lab, producing it at gram scale, and what we want to do is to first focus on producing this at ton scale that would be relevant to doing a pilot plant that we're planning to do next. Yes.
Got 20 seconds left for a really quick question of this one. Rajesh, yes.
So you're absorbing the CO2 with your sorbent. Are you desorbing that CO2? What's the energy? What is a kilowatt hour per ton of CO2?
So each ton of CO2 we capture can provide 1.9 megawatt hour of heat storage.
No.
I will get to that. Yeah. But then the efficiency of our heat storage is 91%. That means that 9% of the energy is lost. That will give you 190 kilowatt hour per ton of CO2 captured.
Thank you for that. I think that's all the time we have. Thank you, judges. Thank you, Dr. Omin.
Thank you.
Of Remedium Energy. Next up, we've got starter number 10. Please welcome on stage for Speed Parks. We've got Raphael Pomfrit. Ooh, you got fans. Guten Tag.
Thank you.
Raphael, are you ready?
Super ready.
5 minutes starts now.
In the next 5 minutes, I'm going to show you why I skipped my world trip after my chemistry studies, not only to co-found this company, but to have a meaningful impact in our world. We are Speedbox. We are a deep tech startup in the field of advanced materials, and our vision is to completely reinvent epoxy resins. Epoxy resins are a very important and critical plastic material in our modern world. We use them to build air winglets, windmills, electric engine, and every semiconductor is protected with this black epoxy on the backside. But the processing is quite complex and expensive. But why? Usually you have to mix two components, the resin and the hardener, in a very precise ratio, and afterwards facing a very short processing time because the material gets viscous over time, followed by a really long and energy-intense post-curing step at high temperatures. And this post-curing steps is really the bottleneck for the most of the processing of these epoxy materials. Just to give you a belly feeling, to post-cure such kind of air winglet takes 16 hours at 180 degrees. It's a massive time and energy we are wasting here. What if we could use a different hardener chemistry to eliminate the mixing, the limited processing time, the waste? What if we could cut down the processing time energy to a fraction and solve these bottlenecks? This is exactly what we do. We offer a new chemistry and patented it for epoxy materials. How does it work? After a simple UV stimulus, we are able to generate a self-curing behavior, a self-curing wave in the material itself to trigger on a self-curing process and cure the material without any extra energy input. The outcome is amazing. We are able to reduce the energy and the time demands for the curing of the materials by a factor of 99%. So we are able to enable our customers to increase their production capacity with the greener and future-proof chemistry. Our business model is based on 3 pillars. The first one is customer projects for our lead customers, which already secures 400,000 euros in sales. The second one is the manufacturing and the direct sales of our already existing product lines in the field of protective material for electronics, electrically conductive adhesives, and electrically conductive inks, with more than 20 customers in validation phase. Our third pillar is our licensing model. We offer this platform technology for epoxy materials, which can be applied on all existing epoxy products on the market. So this is the reason we're reaching now out to all our partners in the world of combining the Speedbox platform technology with their existing product portfolio. And we already have 3 partnerships in mind. I'm usually not a fan of these generic market slides. This is the reason we try to find a really specific approach. We started with a list and thought about which kind of products we really have an impact for the industry and the customer. We summarized it and grouped the market, and we came to the conclusion that we can able a total addressable market of 97 billion euros. Of course, we will not be able to conquer all of it, but we think that we will be able, together with our licensing partners, to reach 10% in the next 15 years. And also based on the discussion and conversations to our already existing partners, we believe that we will be able in 15 to 20 years to generate a revenue stream of about 1 to 1.5 billion per year. For this purpose, we're seeking now an investment in a volume of 5 million euros to scale up our operation in the Asian market, establish Singapore as our neutral hub for the licensing expansion, and to reach out to all our existing partners in the world to realize this shared product vision. Our team with a strong university background, with competencies in the field of material science, chemistry, strategic leadership, and finance. This is the team who brings this vision actually to life. To summarize it, Speedbox offers a really disruptive technology which is IP protected. We solve the crucial bottlenecks of the industry. We can increase and refine existing products, make it efficient, and we can also realize completely new novel applications with our technology. We have this platform technology which can be spread and scaled globally via licensing model, and for this purpose we are seeking for 5 million euro investment. Support us reinventing the whole industry, not only epoxy resins, and maybe in the future we all come in airplanes to Singapore made out of Speedbox materials. Thank you.
Thank you, Raphael. Fans, 5 minutes, time with the judges. Judges, the clock is ticking. Who would like to go first? Got a question from Cindy of Enterprise Singapore, please.
Can you help me understand how your customers will be able to take on your product? Do they need to change their own industrial processes, or do they just mix things in? And does it change depending on the industry that they are in?
So I try to split up this question. So first, for the product, we have this new chemistry, and they need to be developed together with us, which we try to group like specific use cases and products, and to give like really a full package to our licensing partners. We have this UV cure technology on one hand, which need to some kind of adopt the process to implement new UV sources into the processes. But at the same time, we also able, which I didn't show at all, we can also use ordinary heat curing with big one advantage, that we don't have to cure over a long period of time, like the 16 hours. For us, it's just important to overcome a threshold of 120 centigrade, and then we also have the fastest snap curing chemistry on the market, which means the customers also can rely on already existing processes. So there's not even the need to change the whole process, but when you want to have like the maximum efficiency, the resource is the way to go.
Do we have another question, judges, for Raphael? One from Rajesh of Khosla Ventures, please.
Curing time is just one of the properties. Can you help us understand how does your product affect other properties of the epoxy, positively or negatively?
Yeah. So even in the beginning, when we started with the whole technology, we compared the existing hardware solution and how does the numbers look like compared to the Speedbox hardness. And we figured out that we always have like really comparable numbers, and also some of the time better properties in terms of TG, toughness, strength, thermal expansion, and so on. So we don't really change the polymer itself, so just the way how we create the material.
I think we have a question from Magnus of Entler, please.
Yeah, congrats on this. Can you talk a little bit about your early traction? Like, what are you doing with these first customers that you have, and what industry is it in?
Yeah, so it was like a long way so far. The first year was really exploration phase, where it's covered different industries and took out all the learnings and conquered now the electronic markets because of their really short innovation cycles. Because when you want to implement a new material, you have to be ready at the start. And therefore, we figured out the technology is really good when we produce it by our own right now in small volumes with high margins. This was also like the main reason we're focusing now on electronics. But when we have like a broader access, also like a higher revenue income, and we see also some kind of scaling effects, other industries will be also accessible afterwards for this technology.
We've got about 2 minutes left. Judges, do we have any more questions for Raphael? I think judges seem satisfied. Thank you, judges. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Raphael of Speed Pops. Final 2 startups of our top 12 grand finalists. Please welcome on stage Ziad Mata for Viridi Technologies. Hi, Ziad.
Hello.
Are you ready?
Yes,
Okay.
happy to be here.
You can do this. Good luck. 5 minutes starts now.
Hello everyone. Viridi Technologies is an award-winning Dutch-Brazilian company revolutionizing the diagnosis of soil biodiversity and plant diseases by using the latest developments in AI and automated microscopy. And the problem that we target really is soil degradation, because the food that we eat every day comes from soil, and yet 75% of soils worldwide are degraded. That's a really big problem, which is why farmers and conglomerates invest heavily in regenerating soils. However, the technology currently on the market is far from being mature or accurate enough to guide these investments. In order to solve this problem, we have created a team which encompasses all the necessary know-how and knowledge to solve this issue. My background is in industrial engineering with experience in Danone and Nestle. Richard, our CTO, has 2 postdocs in microbiology and microscopy from Delft University. Wojtek, who was my best friend in university, left Accenture to build our data science team. We're also assisted by Dr. Joachim Schneider, the ex-CEO of Bayer Vegetable Seeds and Senior Vice President at BASF, and Ivan Gijsbers, an experienced serial agri-food entrepreneur from the Netherlands. At Viridi, we chose to focus on microscopic worms called nematodes, because they are the single best indicator for soil biodiversity. I'm very happy to announce that just last week, the EU voted the soil monitoring law, which makes soil biodiversity monitoring mandatory across the EU, and nematodes are a key indicator in the law. This is because they are backed by more than 30 years of research, more than 670 peer-reviewed independent papers, and for that reason, the European Innovation Council has identified Viridi as a key enabler of the law, giving us 6 million euros to make it a reality. Nematodes are fantastic creatures, telling us incredible stories about the soil, including about soil biodiversity, carbon cycling, and disease resilience. However, nematodes also destroy every single year $160 billion in crops around the world. And this problem is increasing in prevalence in Southeast Asia due to heat stress. The way we solve that problem is that instead of having someone with a PhD counting hundreds of microscopic worms on a microscope for one sample, we automate the whole process so that anyone can do it. It's very simple. You take the sample, you place it under our machine, within 3 clicks it scans it, the AI tells you what's inside it, and then we plug that data into existing agronomic models, which provide the farmers seamlessly with practical solutions for solving their most pressing problems. Our technology is both highly accurate and highly scalable at half the cost, which makes it truly unique and very attractive on the market. Our business model is that we provide machines for free and the customers pay per sample. We already work with the most prestigious agtech companies in the world, like Bayer and Syngenta, and are scaling in India, Europe, and Brazil, and we hope to reach millions of farmers with our partners in the coming years. We also work with governments which recognize the importance of our technology for protecting food security. Southeast Asia is a very interesting market for us There's 20 million hectares of irrigated rice, 3 million hectares of sugarcane, and 2 million hectares of coffee. That's $5 billion in losses caused by nematodes every single year in this region. And for example, coffee is a crop of increasing importance because we see that that's a crop that we rely on because we drink coffee every day. And every day, and farmers every year lose $700 per hectare. That's a lot of losses. We solve that problem by providing a test for $5, and the solution can cost as little as $30. That gives a farmer a 10x ROI on the solution, which is very attractive for them. We also work with these big companies to scale the problem to smallholder farmers because they finance the test. Our R&D doesn't stop only to the plant parasitic nematodes. We have had very good results with the Wageningen University, which gave us 95% accuracy rating compared to 85% for a PhD in nematology. But we're also scaling to fungi, which are of increasing relevance for the 50 million hectares of palm oil across the region. Today, I'm here in Singapore because I want to use Singapore as a launchpad for scaling throughout Southeast Asia. We already have some roots in Singapore via our investor Silver Strand Capital, and what I hope to do today is make agriculture more profitable, more sustainable, and together we can make the food that we eat every day healthier and more abundant. Thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Thank you, Ziad. And we have 5 minutes of Q&A with the judges. We're going to reset the clock. There you go. Judge, oh, so many questions. Let's start with Cindy of Enterprise Singapore, please.
Can you tell me more about the technology and whether there's anything that might change just moving from the European environment into the Southeast Asian environment, given that's a market you're trying to move into?
Yeah. So about the technology, sometimes you see like some of the pathogens which are different from one region to the other, but you already have databases of cultures because the seed companies already have them to create new products and, for example, resistant breeds. So as a result, by just imaging a culture which contains thousands of nematodes of one species, then you can really add it very rapidly to your database. Most of the pathogens in Southeast Asia are similar to the ones in Brazil because that's a tropical climate. So we are very ready to scale here.
Question now from Zixuan of Granite Asia, please.
Yeah, just to follow on that, can you comment a little bit about how you would, because you mentioned about AI, and so is there some training of the model that you do, and what sort of predictability that can you get from the model itself?
Yeah, so we have a proprietary database of more than 500,000 images, which is the largest one in the world. And we validated our results with the best university of agriculture in the world, Wageningen University, getting results of 95% accuracy, which is far better than what humans can do.
Got a question from Russell of Temasek International, please.
So maybe after your analysis is done, typically how do the farmers or the people who plant whatever crops take remedial action?
Yes, so there's many solutions, right? For example, if you focus on coffee, they can use a bionematicide, but also they can use a resistant variety of coffee. So we already work with the solution providers that provide the crops, and then our advice allows the farmers to understand what are the options, what is the cost benefit, and this way we can really solve that problem in a practical way.
So are you part of that solution in your business strategy?
Yes, because we work, for example, with the biggest agtech companies in the world, like Bayer and Syngenta, which have a large portfolio of products to solve this issue. We help farmers identify which one is the most relevant for them.
Got a question now from Magnus of Antler, please.
Yeah, just on the product, is your core capability building the robotic microscope, or is it the AI model of identifying the nanomod?
Yes, nematodes.
Nematodes,
yeah.
right? Or are you reliant on being like a hardware company, or?
So, yeah, it's really both, in fact, because we tested 20 different microscopes across the market. We found that none of them was sufficient enough in terms of throughput and quality to provide these results. So we built our own microscope, but we already have a manufacturer to scale that globally. There's no problem there. But we also have our AI, which contains the largest database of high-quality nematode images in the world. So we really have both. Although we're a hardware company, we can get 80% profit margins because our business model is very profitable.
Question from Rajesh, yes.
I presume, I don't know the market obviously, a large percentage of the soil don't even have nematodes. In that case, how does your company add value?
In fact, actually, most soils have nematodes. For example, also in Southeast Asia, you have the inundated rice and the irrigated rice. People are doing more irrigated rice because they want to use less water right? And that means that you'll have more and more nematodes in the region. So this is really a growing problem with most farmers having that. Nematodes are, for example, the #1 disease destroying soybean in the US and in Brazil.
Thank you.
We've got about a minute 30 left on the clock. Judges, do we have more questions for Zian? They look satisfied? Thank you, judges. Thank you once again, Zian.
Thank you very much.
For Vridi Technologies. Thank you. And now we have our final startup for our top 12 grand finalists. Last but not least, please welcome Dr. Puiwa Choi for Women X Biotech. Hi, Dr. Choi. Are you nervous? No, no. You can do this. Good luck. 5 minutes starts now.
Ending 350,000 cervical cancer cases in APAC every year using one pad at a time. I'm Dr. Choi, the founder and CEO of Women X Biotech. Every 2 minutes, one woman dies from cervical cancer, and screening is the key to save them. Currently, women, if they want to screen for cervical cancer, they have to go to a clinic, sit on a chair, and then put a speculum and a brush is inserted into the woman's vagina. In APAC, 65% of the women, they skip this test because of limited access to clinic, discomfort, invasiveness, embarrassment, cultural and religious stigma. How could we change this scenario? Now we have a solution. We launched PadX. PadX is a sanitary pad that can detect the causative agent of cervical cancer, HPV. Inside the pad, there is a chip, and when menstruation blood passes through, it captures the cervical cells, concentrate it. At the same time, it gets rid of the microbial contaminations. In a clinical study that we did in Hong Kong, the PAS, it achieves an incredible 99.2% accuracy in detecting HPV when compared to the test done in the clinic. It's totally non-invasive, no-paying home test with privacy guaranteed. 3 simple steps, 3 days, is going to change every woman's lives. First, wear the PAS as usual for 4 hours, and then take it off and pat it and send it to our med lab. Then, within 3 days, women, they will get their report through email. Through our technology, the sample is stable for 30 days. There's no cold chain needed for transportations. In the future, we will partner with different med labs in different countries, and we could cover the whole APAC regions with our solution and also the rest of the world. We have very strong traction since we launched this year in January. With 7 months, we already get 3.8% of the Hong Kong private cervical cancer screening market. And in our customer, 47% of them have never done pap smear before. And what's more, 90% of them will choose PADIC again for the next screening, and they will recommend it to their friends. We won multiple awards in the meta area and the femtech area. The meta area represents this is a solution that the health industry longs for, and the MedTech Awards represents that there is a great demand in the women populations. We will extend our technology to detect other female diseases, including preterm birth and female cancers. And we are seeking $3 million funding to get through the CE clearance and the FDA clearance and penetrate into different markets. If we get the SLINGSHOT prize, we will open a company in Singapore, get the clearance of CE mark, do the clinical study with Singapore Hospital and apply for HSA, and then tap into the SCA market. Our ultimate goal is to create the largest female health data set and become a leading global femtech company. So we can tap into the $29 billion market in 2032. There are few competitors in this area, and we win by high accuracy and can be used in both developed and developing countries. And we have high potential for screen for other female-related diseases like reproductive disease. Currently in Hong Kong, we distribute through D2C and also partner with the chain pharmacy, the largest chain pharmacy in Hong Kong. Currently, I also talk with multiple insurance companies to have it incorporated into their pipeline. And we are also contacting and discussing with the vendor of the diagnostic test done in Hong Kong with the government to have our product match with them. So this will be delivered by the best team ever. I am Dr. Choi, the CEO. I have 15 years experience in female cancer research at both CHK and Harvard Medical School. And Dr. Rebecca Lee, she has over 10 years commercialization experience to launch lab-developed tests in Hong Kong. When we scale globally, 63% of medical costs could be saved. And if we have worked together, by the end of this pitch, we already saved 2 women. So in the future, women will be only happier and healthier with Womanix. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Choi, and we do want women to be happier and healthier.
Yeah.
5 minutes on the clock. We're going to reset the clock, and then we'll have a chat with the judges. Judges, who would like to go first? I think, yes, Zishan of Granite Asia, please.
Yeah, so just to help me understand the technology a bit, like the accuracy of it, what's the chance of false negative, false positive, so the accuracy rate, if you will.
Thank you. So the accuracy we claim here, 99.2%. It includes the sensitivity, which is over 99%, and the specificity around 98.9%. So in our clinical study, there's only 1 false positive case. So these participants, she tested for HPV 53 and 59 in the first time. And in the longitudinal study, after 3 more months that we follow her, and she was like negative in the pap smear test, but we still find 53 in her sample. So this is the only case that's we treated as false positive, although in the first time, she was also positive for the same HPV. Yeah.
Got a question from Magnus of Antler, please.
Great product, very exciting. Can you talk a little bit about what's your core differentiation? Is it the collection mechanism, or is it the way you do the lab tests? And on the collection side, how will that enable you to, you talk about the future where you can check for other things, and obviously having the blood of someone that frequently can be a big competitive advantage. We'd love to hear about the future.
Thank you so much for the question. So first, the sample is very different. Ours is measured blood, but in the past, the industry used urine or directly cervical cells as the sample. So they are only taking one kind of cells, or they are taking the DNA that flush out like during urinations. But ours, the measured blood, it contains endometrial cells, fallopian cells, vaginal fluid, and also endometrial cells. So we can detect multiple kinds of cancer, like potential to detect for ovarian cancer, endometrial cancer, etc., all related to the reproductive system. And because the reproductive system is also related to the hormonal control of women, so there's also a chance that we can predict different kinds of hormonal controls related with different kinds of female diseases. That's the first one. Second is about our sanitary pad. In the past, there is around 6 studies across 5 nations working on measured blood for detecting HPV, but they can have a very good accuracy and sensitivity on like low-grade pre-cervical cancer or like very early HPV infections, because they don't have a specifically designed sanitary pad that can get rid, that mainly like aim for targeting 4 technical problems. First is like sanitary pad is an absorbent. It's very hard to dilute the biomolecules. If you add water, they will dilute the biomolecules, lower the accuracy. Second, in measured blood and sanitary pad, within 4 hours, 6,000 microbills will grow up, and it will mess up with the whole detection system. So microbial growth is concerned. Thirdly, it's about the rebel cells, because measured blood doesn't have coagulation factors. So it's mixed with rebel cells, and the rebel cells will hinder the downstream PCR reaction. And fourthly is how to make sure the samples stay long, like more than 30 days. This is all 4 technical problems that we tackle. Thank you.
We've got about 1:30 left. I think Russell of Temasek International has a question. No? Okay. Judges, we've got about 1:30. Rajesh of Khosla Ventures.
How big was the clinical study in Hong Kong? How would you expand to some other city, some other country, and how large a clinical study can you do, given your access to Brigham? Is there a study that you could perform there?
Currently, in Hong Kong, the clinical study is 119 because it's a diagnostic product. It's not for screening. And yesterday, I already talked with some CRO agents in Singapore, asking him like how many samples I have to add if I want to get a CE mark. And he said maybe we don't really need to add any, but if we really need to add some, then we will work together with Singapore hospitals. And tapping into other countries is the same. We have to first talk to the regulatory body and understand that how many samples they want, and like if they want to include some other race, and then we will work with the local like clinical test sites. Thank you.
We've got about 30 seconds left, only time for a quick one. Did the judges look pretty good? Thank you, judges. Thank you once again.
Thank you so much.
Women X Biotech. Thank you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, have brought us to the end of our top 12 grand finalists. Can we give them a big round of applause? It's not easy to come up here. The results later on, but we're going to take a short break to just reset the stage. Don't go anywhere because, as you know, Switch is celebrating 10 amazing years this year. And we have cake! We have cake and we have performance by Nathan Hartono as well as Nonform. So stick around. We're just going to reset the stage in just a few moments. Thank you.